good. He's a really good gamer, and now I see why my brother kind of was like, why don't you come on out here? To get him to talk, because he's homeschooled, so I'm dealing with that, and I also have a daughter who is in college right now as well. So I got a lot of different things going on, but I came to check y'all out. Oh, and I also just had a watch party for a movie that I'm in that's going to be on Tuesday. It's called Blood of My Blood Part 2, Standalone Business. We filmed it last year in Portsmouth, Virginia. So it should be on Tuesday sometime at the end of this month, maybe next month. It's going through its whole little process. And as of last night, I talked to the writers and creators of it, and I'm going to try to do a spin-off of my character here in Winston-Salem. So that's just something that we came up with last night.
I look forward to bigger and better things in each and every one of y'all. I'm all in. Thank you.
I'm Victor Jones, United States Marine Corps, 13 years, 100% veteran now. I'm the chairman of the Heroes Center. That's the work. Nonprofit does is focus on helping veterans like yourself that are going through VA claims. You know how difficult that can be. I've probably seen you. I've ever been quite a bit. So I know. But small business owner for about 30 years or so now. And I've been part of the Huddle since the beginning. We got with Greg, a couple months ago. We came out of the house, let him know we've been traveling in and out of North Carolina a lot. We started from North Carolina to Pennsylvania, so I live in North Carolina, so I think very well. Our friend on Facebook, Kate and I got engaged last month. Congratulations.
Chris Evans, everybody call me Ghost. I'm from Lynchburg, Virginia. I just moved to Jamestown about maybe mid-October. I done gave a penal system 15, 16 years of my life. I'm just trying to help the youth to not do what I did. I just want to push big perform anywhere I go.
Sims, I came out to support Mr. Carlos Parks. He's a mentor, somebody I really look up to. You know, he's been a great example for a person like me. I've been in and out of prison for mostly all my life, my entire life. I'm 54 years old. Recently released from the feds about almost 2 years ago, come March. Like I say, this post came across my phone, and I said, let me go out, you know what I mean, and support the brother. Since I've been released, I wrote a book called The Guide to Sustaining Your Freedom After Incarceration. And my motivation is to reach out to, you know, not only younger people, but, you know, people that's my age that's been doing this thing repetitively in and out, this cycle over and over and over and over again. And so I have to be responsible and live that example. You know what I mean? So I wrote that book. I'm also the CEO of Nickel Nine Books. I'm an author. You know what I mean? So I've got a couple of things in the mix that I'm working on right now. But I want my own vehicle, my own platform. You know what I mean? To express myself in that way. Other than that, I love boxing. You know what I mean? I appreciate you. Thank you for the opportunity, but I was in there, I was messing around. You know, and you know, just like I said, I just wanted to come out here and support the brother. You know what I mean? And I appreciate y'all for allowing me to do. Thank you.
How you doing? My name is Richard Shannon. I'm a student coordinator and interdisciplinary skills coordinator for CPA, Commander Police Academy. We work hard to get these kids right, and not just to fight, but to have a good head. Don't want to hand a kid fire and not know what to do with it. So we focus a lot of time on that. I'm also a freelance entrepreneur, working on content creation, strategy, consulting. Been able to work with a lot of TV networks and radio networks, and even some small businesses around here now. I come to the Huddle. I came just to find some dudes to read the Bible with. Next thing you know, I ended up getting a job and a bunch of friends and a responsibility to the community. I'm not even from here. I'm from Winston-Salem, so it's really cool. I want to be here for a couple of months and meet Commander. He said, "What he doing?" I'm like, "Yo, let's get to work then." So next thing you know, we're doing all kinds of stuff. Just got certified for CPR. I didn't know that was gonna happen. But working with Commander, all kinds of different things go down. So I appreciate all y'all being here, and it's really awesome to see everybody get together.
My name is Jeremy Allen. I'm from Greensboro. I came here to support West Park. I see all his efforts in the community. I love what you're doing.
Thank you, Rob.
It ain't nothing but God, grace, and mercy that I want behind somebody's jail or under the jail. And let this damn see through. If I tell you some of the stories, you probably wouldn't believe it. But I'm thankful to be here. I want to be a resource, an asset. I'm in banking. I work in a funeral home. I got 9 financial resource licenses, so I'm licensed to do annuities, IRAs, 401k roll-ups. But anyway, I can be a resource to anybody. Please let me know. And this is my partner, we call it community connection. We're trying to go out and spotlight positive images like what you guys are doing so that we can flood the internet. Because other folks need to know about what you guys are doing so you all can get some corporate donations, sponsorship and stuff.
Yes, sir.
So I want to spread this thing out if that's okay with you.
How you feel though?
I love the energy in here, and I'll be back for this. I'll be back for this, man. I love this, man. To see some and I'm gonna tell you something that even resonates with me more is to see you two guys in here. Because oftentimes we talk about what we gonna do, but when I see other people like you galvanize, engage with us, it's a good feeling, man. So I thank you all for being here. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Sorry for my tardiness. I was in a meeting with the mayor pro tem and I got held up. But thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
What's up, man? What's up, bro?
You came in, now you got
What?
How y'all doing, man? Shut your man.
Oh, they got to introduce themselves. Y'all definitely got to introduce. You got 2 more. Let them introduce themselves.
Y'all
Yeah.
go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, Rex, you got my talking to
What up, yo? You bring some food?
I cook it. I cook right now.
No.
Mostly known for media, marketing, photo, video, music. So if you have a story to tell, I pretty much find different ways to get that story out of you and into the eyes and ears of people who need to hear it and see it. You know, some of them for millions and thousands. We got one to do too, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Jermaine Morris. I came out here to counter Cap, gave me an invite about a lot of positive things we doing.
They don't know cap. They don't know cap. They don't
Come to
know.
home,
They don't know cap.
Carlos, I'm sorry. Y'all forgive me for that. I'm sorry. I ain't never known them to call me. I'm sorry. Changed the name and it came with that. But hey, look, man, it's God's outview for us to go forward and do bigger, better things. We got connections in all corners. We got business lines like we had in Nagger. We just flipped the script on them, you know, and let's go. Let's go. always been on a positive mindset, so I know when he's doing something, there's some good things going on. So, yeah, Lynchburg, do a little bit of real estate, insurance, work with Thought Funeral Home and Crematory, just trying to do the right thing out here and keep things moving. So, nice to meet y'all. Look forward to talking and building with y'all tonight.
Nice to see y'all brothers out here. We need a bigger crowd. We're gonna make a bigger crowd. Let's say that. Me and Greg go way back. I'm originally from Philadelphia, and the life I went through, well, I couldn't imagine. And I went to prison. I actually crossed paths with him a couple times in prison. But I started a nonprofit for kids, like he was saying, and I did basketball tournaments for the youth. The city just wasn't trying to help at that time. You understand? We didn't have a group like this that we make our own ways. You know what I mean? Our own ways. So that's why when I was talking to Greg, that basically he doing what I've been wanting to do in my life. I always had a dream when I was a little boy because I was homeless a lot of times. So I used to have a dream of wanting a shelter so that I can help all these people out here that's laying on these streets that they now starting to pay a little bit of attention to. You know what I mean? But we send billions of dollars to another country to fight a war. Then when we got people over here on the streets, you know what I mean? And there's so many abandoned buildings, and you know what I mean? So I just want to jump into that for like with you and my man with the real estate or whatever. You know what I mean? And let's get this thing rolling. And my LLC is Building Bridges for Families.
That's everybody?
Oh, young man over there.
Yes, Taekwon. Taekwon is one of my guys that I worked with when he was a little boy. He been in a lot of my programs when he was like this small, man. And I work with him now. He's almost out of school now. He's still hanging on, and that's his big protege now. He rolls with him, and he rolls with us, and he's been with us for a while. So like I say, we bring our men up, our young men up. We bring them up, and we work with them, and they continue to follow us, and he's a prime example. He's doing good in school. The brothers have come a long way, and he rides with my big uncle right there. He rides with him, and Big Stan, and it's been nothing but up and up, man, you know. So we want to keep this thing going. That's what we want right there. We ask every man, again, I ask every man to bring a young man with them. Bring a young man the next time y'all come. Everybody bring at least one. You can bring two, but at least bring one man with you. So we can actually put into him, let him see the beauty of men in him, because everybody in the world don't get to see this right here. They see us as just men. You know, we black, we low down, we damn, we trash, we this, we deadbeat, we nobody, we are losers, we are failures. We want to let everybody know that we're somebody, and we don't choose of color. There is no color in brightness. Brightness has no color code. If you look at brightness in its period, there's a blind. So we try to look at the beauty in our brothers here, and everybody here is my brother, and I love you guys, man. Again, man, I thank you guys. This is the movement. It starts right here. So y'all, brother, let's ride this thing, man. Let's come out here, man. Not next Wednesday, but next Wednesday after that, brother. I want y'all brothers to come in here, man, and let's do this thing and show the world, man, that men can come together and make a difference.
Amen. So it's every other Wednesday?
Every other Wednesday.
Okay.
And get too good, we can go every Wednesday, but right now it's every other Wednesday. Get your time to gather up some of your nectar and bring it back to the nest so we can feed off.
All colors has got on me, so. Get a menu together.
Will, introduce yourself, Will. That's good, y'all.
I'm Will. One of Greg's homies from back in the day. You know, got a little act right, so I just, you know, he reached out to me, so I'm just coming to see what it's all about. You know what I mean? So I'm here.
You hear time and time again of different stories, probably people you grew up with that got into trouble, and that was the story for the rest of their life. You probably yourself might feel like that. Got in trouble, now you got to deal with it for the rest of your life, right? It's usually a sad story. It's usually the story that people call, we only see in our community. It's not really touched on like a national spotlight. But inside of those, we get beautiful stories. We get stories where people make the wrong decisions, people make mistakes, and they reform. Barriers. I don't care where you come from, you got barriers in your life, right? Today we're gonna hear from a man that had a bunch of barriers. Mr. Carlos Parks, as you saw from the flyer, dealing with making mistakes in his past, but not letting that be the rest of his story. Who ever heard of somebody running the streets, getting in trouble, and then later being a real estate agent, being a father, being an upstanding citizen in the community? So today you get to hear the story of Carlos Parks and how he went from a terrible situation to a prosperous situation. Mr. Parks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody, especially my homies that came up, man. I know they drove like 2 hours, yo, so I appreciate it. I'm surprised. I'm humbled. I wasn't expecting it. I appreciate the support from my comrades, because nobody in here is higher or lower than the other, right? We're all comrades, right? Whether you've been inside or you haven't, right? But I just have a special affinity for my brothers who have overcome the same obstacle. You know, there's a brotherhood that exists there, right, that you can't even explain. I guess sort of like my Marine guys, right? When you've been on the battlefield with your platoon or whatever, right? It's a type of camaraderie you got. When you heard him say he was a Marine, there was a camaraderie. That's kind of the camaraderie we have when we meet individuals who've overcome incarceration. So that is one of the things that I've done. I've overcome incarceration, but I overcame a lot of things before that, right? I continue to overcome things, right? But I don't want to I know I have to tell my story, and I tell my story a lot. My story is not unlike Greg's or unlike ours. We've all overcome growing up in the hood, right? Most of us come from the hood, which means we were below the poverty line. If you had welfare cheese, if you had food stamps, you know the welfare cheese in the brown. So when I say these things, right, it doesn't really matter if you're from Cali, Slim is from Cali, if you're from Baltimore. When I say welfare cheese, we all understand what I'm talking about, right? So we all overcame something. But when we grew up during those times, we didn't realize, right, we were impoverished, right? We didn't realize that we were receiving government subsidies or whatever. We had happy childhoods. We might not have had the most of anything, right? We might not have paid a mortgage. Our parents paid rent. Everybody was all about making rent, right? And I thought that's what the world was. But that's what we had to overcome, right, to get to the point where we are now, right, which is why it's so big for me to be in real estate and explaining to youth what a mortgage is, right? Because in high school, you have young kids who don't know the difference between mortgage and rent. But I'll start from the beginning. Of course, I was born in Goldsboro, North Carolina, raised in Lynchburg, Virginia. I moved to Lynchburg, Virginia when I was like 5 or 6 years old. I lived in Cali for 2 years. My father was in the military. Got caught selling weed in the military, got locked up. While he was locked up, my mother shipped us back to North Carolina. So that was it for my father, right? Growing up in North Carolina, we stayed there probably 2 years, and then my mother found this place called Lynchburg, Virginia. And that's where my life took place, right? That's where everything changed for me. And I was a good kid. I didn't, I was, in the Go Center. I was smart. I was athletic, right? Always the fastest kid, always the strongest kid, always had nice hands, right? Which I had to learn there because I didn't have cousins. I didn't have brothers, anything. It was just me, right? So I didn't have the support system like if you grew up in where you're from. You got older cousins, older brothers that'll take up. I ain't had none of that, right? So it was just me. And it was my little sister, and I was the big brother. And I just became the big brother to everybody in the hood. I've always been the big brother, right? And that was a position that I embraced. Being a big brother taught me responsibility, right? But the responsibility first came from my grandfather. My grandfather was a farmer in Goldsboro, North Carolina. And every summer, I don't know if I'm the only kid got shipped away every summer, my mother sent me to the country. Every summer I was in the country. In the country meant I was in the field. I was in Goldsboro picking cucumbers, picking tobacco, working in corn, everything my grandfather had. We had to go feed the pigs, had to go get the eggs from the chickens. That was my summer, you know, as a young child. So that taught me responsibility. But that also taught me, I saw my grandfather. He didn't work for anybody. That's his land. You know, these are his chickens. These are his pigs. That's all he is. He would take me when we cropped all the tobacco, he would take me to Raleigh. Raleigh was the big city. You go from Goldsboro to Raleigh on the back of a truck selling tobacco. So I would go into these warehouses and watch how he would go around and, you know, look at the tobacco and compare it to his. And people would come through these big, I guess, what's the one in Winston-Salem? Reynolds, R.J. Reynolds, like big distributors like that would go to these places and pick tobacco. And he want his tobacco to get picked. You know, it was just watching that and learning that was business. I didn't realize it then, right? I was watching an entrepreneur at work, right? So that's my predecessor, right? That's what brought me to the point where I'm at now. But before we get to this point, growing up in Lynchburg was beautiful, you know? And then the 80s came and something came that changed all of our lives, not just mine. He experienced it in Baltimore. He experienced it in Cali. He experienced it in St. Louis. Crack cocaine. When crack hit, it changed the game. It changed the world. It changed everybody's world, not just mine. I ain't have to see your life to know what crack did. If you grew up in the inner city during the crack era, you watched the world change. Everything. All these older people you used to respect ended up addicted to drugs. It demolished our communities. And when it demolished our communities, it left children without parents. I was one of the fortunate ones. My mother didn't start using crack, but all my friends' mothers was on drugs. I was the oldest kid, so I became the babysitter of all the kids. All these crackheads would come to me. Carlos, can you watch such and such? Can you watch them? I'm watching everybody's kids. I'm watching kids sometimes and the parents never came home. I got school the next day. So this taught me something, right? This taught me something. It taught me that I had to be more responsible. I had to be responsible for not just myself, but the other kids around me. Because their parents vacated. Crack made people forget about their responsibilities. They forgot they had children. That drug was more important. So that was the pivotal point in my life. Changed my life. I went from being a good kid to seeing these drugs. And now my friends, it's 8th grade. Now my friends in 8th grade in 87 selling drugs. My home, like, they come into school, you know, this back when we had the little pizzas. Oh my God, the square pizzas. So I ain't even gotta say no more. The square pizzas, right? So when my friends and the cinnamon rolls, right? So my friends would have money now, cause now they in the streets. In 8th grade, I wasn't in the streets yet, but all of my friends were. So the peer pressure started to, you know, lean on me a little bit. So by 9th grade, I gave in. I tried one time to flip $100 block. $100 block, you make 300 or something off of it. At the time, in 9th grade, I had got my first job, and I was making $200 and something every 2 weeks. I got that check along with his cousin and another one of my best friends, and I told them, we going to hustle. And we going to hustle. That's what I told them. These are my best friends. You know, we all work at the plaza. So we got our money. We went to White Rock and all got $100 block, and we never looked back. So that was the beginning and the end for me, right? And at some point during that time, I just got better and better at it, right? You know, when you excel at things, If you excel in sports, you excel in school, you excel wherever you're at, right? You expect to excel at everything, including the streets, right? Nobody does anything to be second, right? So I wanted to be the best at it, right? And I wanted everybody to know my name. So my dumb ass was going by my whole name in the streets. At first, everybody just knew me as Carlos Parks. And then I got in trouble the first time. And I thought, well, maybe I shouldn't be using my real name, because I got busted the first time at 18 and that because they knew my name. So at that point, I became Cap, which is my initials. That wasn't much smarter, right? But I wanted Cap to be, legendary. So I moved that way in the drug game, and it ultimately cost me dearly. It cost me a 30-year sentence at the age of 24, right? So prior to that, I've been stabbed, I've been shot, I had a hit on me. I was living super reckless. Luckily, I didn't get AIDS, right? So now let's go to that. When I was first incarcerated, before the feds picked me up in the state system, I was in the state of North Carolina prison system, and you had to take an AIDS test. I was in Craven County, North Carolina, and that was a receiving. And they told us, okay, well, you got to take an AIDS test, but you don't have to find out your results. And I'm in this holding tank. We all in medical about to take this test, and it's probably 10 of us. Out of the 10, I'm the only one that wanted the results. I'm the only one that wanted the result. That shows you how reckless we were as youth, right? That we didn't even want to know. Well, I wanted to know. I was scared to death, but I wanted to know. And at that point, I said, I will never play with myself. Like, I will never be that reckless with my life, right? And think about it like this. When we're young, we don't really care about death. I didn't. I wasn't afraid of dying. Neither were they. That's why they went in the military, right? Because our frontal lobe hasn't fully developed. And that's the part of our brain that controls our fear, right? Our, the fight or flight response, right? Right. So that's why young guys will get a gun pull on them and be like, you got to shoot me. Never when you 50, you ain't, nah, man, all right, you can have it. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause you got sense now, right? Your frontal lobe has developed, So think about that. That's why they'll put young guys on the front line. That's why I went back when they had to bum rush the shores in Normandy or whatever that was, and they would just drop the boats off and they had to run into the gunfire and take the beach, right? They running into gunfire with no bullet because they didn't fear death. That's why they recruit when we're young, because we don't fear death. We're brave, we're valiant, we'll face that. So just imagine these young men in the streets. That's how I was. We'll take your head off your shoulders in a second. Nothing to be proud of. This is what we're faced with right now, right? These young boys don't care. They lack empathy. They lack sympathy, and will take your shoulders off your head in a second, right? So this is what we're dealing with the violence in our communities, right? So I went through that phase. I went through prison, and I don't like to glorify prison. Prison is a horrible situation. Who wants to go back? Nobody. Horrible. You sleeping around. I don't have to explain this to some people, right? I value my freedom because of how bad prison was. And I was in the feds. There are state systems that are, California, Texas, Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi, any of that South, it's certain prison systems that I could not even imagine going into. I was in the feds. They call it Club Fed for a reason, right? When I got there, we had octopus, clams, oysters, shrimp. You get all of that. We had the microwave. You got people cooking in the microwave better than they cooking in ovens. Italians out there smoking big cigars. I'm like, where you get a cigar? They don't even sell that here. So this is what the feds was like. Like they'd be like, oh, that's the Italians' microwave over there. You know, that's theirs. But they got their own microwave. Like they done bought a microwave. So, you know, this is the feds. It's a lot different, but it's still time. You still don't have women. You know, you still gonna be celled with guys. The police will still beat your ass. You know, you can still get stabbed to death in a second, right? And there's still rules, right? So the rules is what, you know, the structure. There's structure in there, which a lot of people miss, right? Because you know if you do something, this could happen. The structure is missing here, right? In there, you fought in the TV room, you gonna get stabbed. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's certain things you just can't do. You don't break in line. You know, you don't disrespect anyone. You don't say the word bitch to any man if you want to make it out off the yard, right? It's certain things you don't do. You learn these rules when you're in there. You learn these rules. I had someone teach me. I was new. I was off a state spread. The state, they bid different. You know, I had to learn. So when I came to the feds, luckily, a guy from DC he was my cellie and he taught me. Slim, you can't do that. Nah, Slim, you don't do that. You got to do this. You know, yeah, I'm listening to everything. I'm a man, but I want to live too, right? So I'm going to listen to him. His name was Fashawn. No longer with us, man. But he's one of the people that poured into me. A lot of people poured into me. A lot of us went in young. I don't know how old Greg was. I don't know how old you were when you went in, but you probably had an old head who been in there forever, right? Who just took a liking to you and kind of just pull you under his wing like, look, Slim, this ain't how you do that. This what you moving funny. You know, they school you. So I took advice from these old guys, right? Before I knew it, I was one of these old guys. That's how time is in there. You go in there. When I went in there and watched these 40 and over basketball players, I was like, they 40. I couldn't believe it. Man, they 40. I thought 40 was old. I'm like, he can still dunk at 40? Then I was 40. And the first time one of them young boys called me school, I was like, man, I'm not a school. What is you talking? I didn't even realize, man, well, you older than me? That's what happens in prison, man. Before you know it, man, you done gave these people 1 or 2 decades. Yes, sir. Right. And you learn, you know what? They'll never get another day out of me. Right. So that's how I got to this point, right? And I know I'm jumping, right? Because I don't like to glorify that part. I don't like to talk about that part. It's when I came home. This is the beefy part for me. I came home to Bull City, Durham. They don't play. Right? I came home to the Bull, right? I ain't want to go back to Virginia. I'm like, nah, they know Cap. I'm not Cap no more. I came home. I didn't want to be Cap no more. I'll tell you the most embarrassing thing happened to me in Durham. We were on the bus and there was a bunch of us. We were in the halfway house and we would go eat. And this girl said, y'all just came home, didn't y'all? And I was like, yeah, how you know we just came home? Because you got them gold in your mouth. Don't nobody wear them type of gold no more. And I was like, so I had to get them out. They had to go. She identified me by how old my gold were. You know, and I thought the gold, you know, I had the real ones, you know, but nah, they don't do that no more. So when I came home, immediately I came home with a priority. I had 3 priorities. My priorities were first, no women. I watch, when you're sitting in prison, you watch how dudes go home and come back. Oh my God, I hated it. You just watch dudes go home and they come back and you be like, man, he just left. You know, and you just see it all the time. And I would go talk to these dudes like, what happened, man? Why you back in here, man? Man, they caught me, man, with this girl. And, you know, you have dudes and they about to go home. They done did 4 or 5 years. They about to go home. And the first thing they going to do is tell the institution that they going to catch the bus. But what they going to do is have their girl come up and meet them at the bus stop so they can drive back, right? But the people think they're on the bus. So they got to check in when the bus arrives. That gives them 12 hours. It's a 2-3 hour drive from the prison. So that get them trying to do what? Go to the room. Go to the room. You've been locked up 10 years and all you thinking about is going to a room. Nah, that wasn't me. I came home and I didn't want to be them dudes. I didn't want to be them. So if I didn't want to be them, I can't move like them. I can't think like them. Right? So I had to I got to separate myself. So the first thing I said, okay, I'm not having sex for 30 days. This is after doing 17 years. I'm not having sex for 30 days. The first thing I'm going to do is get a bank account, get a driver's license, and get a job. These 3 things were priority to me. Without these 3 things, I couldn't touch a woman. That was something I imposed on myself. That's how important freedom was to me. And I knew that these 3 things would increase my chances of staying in society. For me, I was not going back. I did not want another cellie. All right, I was not going back. I did not want to be shackled and handcuffed and flown on this plane again. I've been on the plane 12 times, all over. I've been to Oklahoma enough where that when I get there, they ask me if I want to be a trustee. That's how many times I've been to that transfer center. I didn't want to fly. They got a fed plane. You fly all over the United States. The plane goes to Oklahoma. That's the transfer center. Plane pulls up. You get off the plane. You go right in the building. You don't even touch the ground. I was not doing that again. So I made sure I had my ducks in a row. I'm a planner, right? They got a saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I planned everything. And I started I forgot something. Remember, I had a 30-year sentence, 360 months. How did I do 17 years? I won my 2255. See, I went to trial. I didn't accept a plea agreement. I didn't cop out. I went to trial. So from going to trial, I got 360 months, which was the same thing that the head of the conspiracy got. And I was only a part of the conspiracy for 3 months. I didn't know any of the other 15 people. This was in Lenore, North Carolina. I was there for 3 months in 1995. I got indicted in 99 and got 30 years. 30 years for a 7-year investigation they had going on with these guys because I just walked into it for 3 months. But that's neither here nor there, you know. So when we get to the point where I'm home, I got my job, immediately got a job. I got a job because I learned Spanish while I was incarcerated. I became bilingual because my mother told me, she said, if you learn any languages, learn Spanish. We got a lot of Latinos coming here. You know, this was in Lynchburg. And I was like, okay. And then I got in prison and I noticed there was a lot of Latinos, a lot of Paisas, right? So started learning Spanish and I became bilingual. Put that on all my job applications, every resume, bilingual. So I got my first job as a personal trainer. I was certified personal trainer. And I got a job because they were firing their Latino trainer. Oh, you speak Spanish? All right, well, I need you. First job in Durham. I worked at Retro Fitness. After that, I had another job I got because I was bilingual. I became a tilapia salesman. I didn't know what the hell a tilapia was, right? They needed a bilingual tilapia salesman. So I'm like, okay, I can do that. I met him. It was a black guy. He owned a spot in Cedar Grove, North Carolina called Taylor Fish Farm. Cedar Grove. I was like, I can't believe a black man owns a fish farm. He grew tilapia in North Carolina. And it was some of the best tilapia in the United States. But I was a salesman for Valley Taylor, secondly, right? And that didn't work because he and I didn't get along, right? Next job was somebody that we delivered tilapia to. They needed security. I was a big dude. They hired me as security in Weldon Village in Durham. The village is the worst neighborhood in Durham. It's the worst area in the city. And I'm security with no gun, right? They killing people in broad daylight in the village. Broad daylight, I'm not exaggerating. On foot and getting away.
Did you live in the East End too?
No. Nah. Nah. I ain't living in the East End. I worked in the East End. Your brother live in the good part of the East End. He don't live in the bad. Yeah. But yeah, Weldon Village, man. No gun at all. But I love Durham. I love Durham because you know what to expect from Durham. At all times, be on your guard. And I rode the bus for 6 months. For 6 months, and I rode the bus like I was still in prison. I had a knife on me. I called it a banger, though. I'm always sitting in the back of the bus with my banger, with all black. I burnt out. I was burnt. I was burnt out when I came home. It took a minute to get acclimated. Had a panic attack. First time I went to the park, I went to Lion Park in the West End. Had a panic attack. It was so many guns. So many guns over there. It seemed like every last one of these young boys had a gun on them. And I'm like, my friends that took me were from there. And I'm like, I thought this was y'all like community cookout. Why there's so many guns out here, right? Oh, nah, you good, homie. I didn't feel good. So I had a panic attack, started sweating. And that's one of the things that happens when you come home from prison. You're not comfortable at first around big groups, especially if it's not your group, right? So I had a panic attack. Luckily, I had a girl come pick me up from that park and get me out of that environment. I met my now wife. I've known her for years, but she hit me in Facebook. Hey, Mr. Parks. And I had been looking for her. Remember I said I'm a planner. Let me know if I'm going too long, Greg. Like, I planned this. This was supposed to be my wife. Before I came home, after I won my appeal, I started keeping a journal. I won my appeal. It went from 30 years to 20 years, right? So at the time, I had been in 12 years. And I'm doing the math after my mother told me I won my appeal. I'm like, I got like 5 years before I'm eligible for the halfway house. 5 years is short to me, in my opinion, right? Going from a 30-year sentence to having 5 years left, right? I was short. I got to start preparing for reentry now. I started keeping a journal. I started thinking about, okay, I don't want to get AIDS, and I don't like rubbers, so I gotta get a wife, right? so that's simple math, right? So I'm like, okay, and I want more kids. You know, my son was 3 when I went in. He was 20 when I came home. And I didn't get to be a father, right? I wanted that opportunity again. So I said, okay, I gotta get a younger girl. I gotta get somebody younger than me because I'm gonna be like 41 when I get home. I planned everything out. So my wife gotta be at least 35. That's what I said, right? When I found my wife, she was 34. When she got pregnant, she was 35. So everything, when I say I planned it, and I showed her in my journal, where I wrote in my journal, man, I wonder where Mimi at. I was looking for my wife when I was in prison, and she found me when I came home. So this is how we're going to get to that. And that's the power of your thoughts in the subconscious mind, right? The subconscious mind is something that I know has a lot to do with me being where I'm at now, right? A lot of my thoughts, subconscious thoughts, you program into the universe, right? And these are things that I put into action, I manifested, right, through my thoughts, right? And in biblical terms, you would say through your prayers, right? And I look at things from a universal perspective. I use different words, different verbiage, but it means the same thing you guys would say. When you pray, you or meditate, right, you're basically sending subconscious signals into the universe. I say universe, you say you're sending them to God. Same thing, different verbiage, right? But ultimately, man, I found my wife. We found each other. I was in Durham. She was in Greensboro. And we started dating. And she had been in a 7-year relationship that I ended, right? So I'm like 7 years. He ain't did nothing yet. Yeah, get him out the way, you know? So that was a wrap. And at that point, I already knew this was my wife. Yeah, I already knew this was my wife, man. So 4 months, we dated 4 months, I proposed, man. And 4 months after that, we were married. And 4 months after that, we were pregnant. Well, she was pregnant, you know, but that's what happens when you plan things out, right? You know, they come together like booty cheeks, you know, so that's what happened. That's what happened with me. That's how I got to this point. But remember, at the time, I was still a working man. I worked a job. My first job in Greensboro, because I moved from Durham to Greensboro, was at a place called R.H. Berger. I was it's a beer company, right? They deliver beer all around here. And I was the keg man, because I'm a big dude at the time. And all I do is throw kegs all night, throw kegs into these boxes. And then they got other guys who load these pallets and put this 6-packs in the cases and all of that onto the trucks. And, you know, the keg job was, I thought, because I was the only one who could do it, was a good job, you know, but nah, not at 40-something years old, right? Throwing kegs, right? So it broke me down. And I was like, I can't do this forever. And it made me think, I need to use my mind and not my body. I need a job that uses my mind and not my body. I met a man, because I'm a beast at chess. I met a guy playing chess that they brought, we got somebody to beat you. And when they brought the guy, they told me, he's like, yeah, he been in the feds too. And when they said that, I said, okay, I might have met, you know, my match or my equal or whatever, right? And he beat me. But when we played, we were speaking, and I liked the way he carried himself. And I asked him, man, what you do? He said, I'm a peer support specialist. You know, and I'm like, what's a peer support specialist? And he broke it down to me and explained to me what a peer support specialist was, right? And I was like, man, you mean having a felony helps me with this job? He said, man, yes. So I was a peer support specialist 2 weeks later. I went and got into class and got trained. 2 weeks later, I called him. I said, man, I'm a peer support specialist. Where can I get a job, right? So my first job as a peer support specialist, they sent me to Winston-Salem to Crystal Towers. Who from the Trefo? What's up with the towers? Yeah, what is it now? It's a high-rise, bed bug infested. It's like good times. Yeah, it's like that, right? So that's where they sent me my first time, right? Because I told them, I said, look, man, throw me in the fire. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm from the hood. I don't need you. Like, this me right here, right? So they was like, well, yeah, we're going to let you shadow somebody the first day, right? And the person they let me shadow is Al Thomas. That's the first guy I shadowed in peer support. So you see how this thing come full circle, right? So through peer support, man, I graduated to a company called RHA, and they gave me a position as a TCLI specialist, where I helped to move people from long-term and not incarcerated, well, sometimes incarcerated, but housing in these mental health facilities into their own place, right? And the state of North Carolina would pay for it because the state of North Carolina lost a big lawsuit. So this program is called the TCLI program, Transition to Community Living. And through that, as peer support specialists, we work as liaisons between our clients and property managers a lot of times, right? And because our clients, you know, they lack the ability to communicate effectively, right? So we do that for them sometimes. And in that position, I sometimes felt outgunned. I felt like these property managers knew more than me. Like I could go in there and try to advocate for my client, and then the property manager just shoot something at me, and I'm like, I wonder if that's right. You know, I wasn't, you know, so I had to go study because we do the knowledge first, right? I want to know if they telling me the truth. So during the studying process, I said, you know what? I'm gonna go get my real estate license. And I looked it up, can I become a realtor as a felon? And I found out I could, right? So I was like, they was like, you can, it's not guaranteed, but you know, you can take the class, the test, and pass, and they can still tell you no. They said it's not guaranteed, but at least you got a chance. So I was like, okay, so I have a chance. So I did it. I took the class, passed it, took the test, passed it, and I had to go before the real estate commission. 4 white guys, well, 1 woman and a guy, and they questioned me. They wanted to see that I was not cap. They wanted to make sure I wasn't the person I was before I went in. And they deemed that I was, you know, I was a good real estate fit, so I became a realtor. And now I have 6 agents. One of those 6 agents is the guy who beat me in chess, who introduced me to peer support.
Anybody driving in, you got the car parked in front of the church? Huh?
In front of the white van?
Hey, pull it right there. Come put your car over here because Pastor White got to be in the parking spot.
I just recognized you. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, ironically, the young man just walked out. I just recognized who he is, right? It's a young man who was at the place where these kids, the school I spoke at the point. Some of y'all probably know the point over here in High Point, and none of those kids knew what a mortgage was. He was a senior. It was probably 2 seniors who knew what a mortgage was. Yeah, and that's why I was thinking about that. But yeah, anyway, now I have Ron Neal who works with me, and he's the one who introduced me. Yeah, Ron. He introduced me to peer support, and now he's one of my agents. You know, so that's how things come full circle, right? So outside of just real estate, one of the things I used to do in real estate to try to stand out when I gift my clients who buy a home from me, which Al bought a home through me as well, right? You see how things come full circle, right? And I think 3 or 4 other people who were incarcerated with me have bought homes through me, which I love, right? Because I appreciate it. And when I gifted my people, I always give my people a gift after they buy with me, right? This man used to deliver the wine to him because he had the black-owned wine store in Greensboro, the only one. So I support, you know, other guys in the community who are entrepreneurs, right? Who are trying to do things. It's funny how things come full circle. But now outside of real estate, I'm also the director of communications for a television network. It's called Fifth Sun TV, right? And and he has a podcast, and we have podcasts on our network. So unlike Tubi, Netflix, and all these other ones, right? They don't have podcasts. If you want to watch podcasts, you have to go to YouTube or you go to these other streaming services. We put podcasts on the network. We also have a platform for, you know, movies. Imagine YouTube meet Tubi. You know, we have different things on but because we're a new network, our network is open to anyone. If you got an amateur film and you want to put it on the network, you call me. It'll be up there tomorrow. Yeah. It'll be up there tomorrow. If you have an event,
I just made one through it.
If you do an event, let's say you have let's say Greg does a big event, we can film live from his event to the network. We have live streaming on there as well, right? So I'm the director of communications for Fifth Sun TV. I'm also on the board of my PO. My former federal PO, when I came home, asked me to be on his board. So now I'm the director of communications for Books in Bars, which is his 501c3, well, it's not 501c3, it's his nonprofit that he started, right? I'm currently working on 2 documentaries. One for a guy named Kenneth D'Angelo Thomas. He's from Nashville, Tennessee. He has life sentence for a crime that he did not commit. He's been incarcerated now 23 years. The other one is for Rivera Peoples. He's been incarcerated 16 years, going on 16 years for a crime, a murder he did not commit. He has life plus 100. The person who committed the murder was his older brother. His older brother pled guilty to it, accepted his sentence, which was 25 years for the murder. His little brother got life plus 100 because he let his older brother use his car.
He got more time than the one who committed.
He got more time than the person who committed the murder. And this is also in Nashville, Tennessee, right? And part of the reason I feel like, we good? Okay. Part of the reason why I feel like, I use this platform to tell these stories, nobody else is going to tell them. Nobody else is going to tell them. So we need to put these stories. Remember Khalif Browder. So when I talk to these young men, I let them know how important a documentary is, how it can open the eyes of a nation, right, if it's put in front of enough people. So I want their stories out there because I saw what the Khalif Browder story did to Rikers Island, which is supposed to be closing now. They keep saying it's still open though, but it's all because of a documentary. So that's what I focus on now, documentaries, outside of real estate. I also got a position as a adjunct professor at Durham Tech. Right. Yeah. So I'll be teaching at Orange County Corrections. I speak in prisons, but I'll be teaching a curriculum at Orange County now, through Durham Tech. And I wear a lot of hats, but I do this not just for me, man. I'm a family man, but I always will never forget about the dudes I left behind. That's right. Never. It's like I say, dudes poured into me. A lifer stopped me from killing my cellie. A lifer. And he's home now. And I'm in touch with him now. I didn't mention, but I did I was fortunate enough to do a TED Talk because I am a speaker, right? I did a TED Talk in Greensboro in 2020. I got fortunate, not lucky, that they brought Toastmasters International to Pollock, Louisiana when I was there. And Toastmasters International is the largest speaking organization in the United States, right? And I learned a lot about communication, becoming a more confident communicator. So my nonprofit that I planned while I was incarcerated, that I started since I've been home, that I now have my 501c3, thanks to Marjorie Rory, who is also Greg's grant writer, right? Now I have my 501c3 and I will be teaching youth to become more confident communicators because our youth lack the ability to communicate. They're always like this. They don't engage, right? So this is a lost art. And I want to teach them to become more articulate, to understand verbal and nonverbal cues, right? We understand body language. They don't, right? We know how to read the room, So this is one of the things, that's what I'm passionate about, teaching individuals coming home from prison and youth how to become more confident communicators. That's through public speaking. But that's it, and I don't want it to be all about talking. If anybody got questions, is now good to, any questions? Yes, sir.
You didn't talk about the paintings.
Oh.
You didn't talk about the artists.
Okay, yeah. So I also paint, right? I started painting when I was incarcerated as a form of release, right? You have to have something in there to take your mind off of that 30 years, right? That was all. So I was super bitter when I first felt I wasn't positive. I wasn't a positive dude, and I was in Cumberland, Maryland, and there weren't a lot of positive dudes around me. So painting, hobbycraft, I've always been an artist. Hobbycraft was my escape, and now I came home and I just started painting. People buy my paintings and I put them in galleries and different locations. I haven't been concentrating on that lately, but that is something that was a passion of mine. It still secretly is, but I just don't get an opportunity to do it a lot. Yeah. Yes, sir.
And I want to piggyback on something Carlos said, because I'm watching this happen right now. Like, y'all watching dudes get caught up in these puffy type situations. I'm watching men who have made it, successful, 6 figures, but they still out here freaking. And he talked about having a wife. A wife will have you home at night, man. A wife will have you sleeping right beside her, or at least there for dinner. So be careful of trying to catch up with what you lost after you've been incarcerated. I watch so many brothers trying to catch up for the time they lost. I'm like, bro, it's gone. You're not going to catch up with it. You're not going to outrun it. So a lot of times, man, we need to think about family.
Yeah.
Being happy with family, that one that love us, and build from there.
I thank you for bringing that up, because I forgot. I wrote a manual and I wrote a book. So in the manual is called 10 Steps to Help One Stay Out of Prison. One of my 10 steps was getting married. I feel like it's absolutely imperative that you find that other part of you, because you're not complete without your other half. Like in Chinese culture, they have the yin and the yang, right? You know, it's like your other part. And when you're walking through life without that yang to your yin, right, you're not complete. And it's something I can't. Once you get married, you're like, why didn't I do this a long time ago? You know, a successful marriage. Like, all marriages weren't the one, right? But when you find your person, because everybody has their person, you just got to find your person.
It's called soulmate.
Yeah, you got to find that. And I feel like, you know, for me, that's been a major part to me staying focused, right? My wife doesn't accept a lot, right, from me. So no matter what I accomplish, it ain't enough. It ain't enough. Like she don't accept, like, nah, she ain't to pat you on the back. Okay, what's next? You know, like, yeah, but that's what I need. But yes, sir.
You were saying how you didn't have your father, but you said you was a planner. Like the fact that you have younger kids, as being a planner, helped you or hurt you with having little kids that sometimes may not be like going with the plan? Like, how do you handle that when you said you didn't have an example?
Well, that's a good one, right? So I have an old child who's 29, and then I have a young son who's 4, and they're both Carlos Parks, the second and the third, right? And then I have my little girl, she's 7. The little ones, it's easy because I've been there, right? So I got to start from the bottom, and I'm building them up. There was a missed point in my older son's life where he didn't have a father. So because of that, our relationship suffers, right? And he has children, and I want to focus on the children more than him, but that part has never been repaired, you know? And unfortunately, like, I can't go back, right? But so part of my plan is to focus on the youth, the little ones, and deal with what I can deal with, right? Yeah, because, the future, you know? Yes, sir.
When I met you, I was in the halfway house, and you were a man of many hats.
Yeah.
We all heard.
Yeah.
And my question is, how did you stay driven as you are and still be able to, you know, hustle? Because when I met you, we was hustling.
Oh, yeah.
Working that job at that big church at
and
Huntersville.
yeah, exactly,
So,
exactly.
You know, how do you wear all those multiple hats and then still find, you know, that time, the family, and, you know, like you wearing multiple hats, man, and then stay hustling, because I know you're a hustler.
Yeah. So what he's talking about, I have occupation, but I do everything, right? So if it makes money, I figure out ways to incorporate it, and I came up on a nice big job that allowed me to employ a bunch of guys from the halfway house, which is how I met Slim, right? And he'll tell you, like, I made sure they all ate, you know, like I made sure they all ate. Look, we gonna pay my guys $100 a day. We gonna feed them, you know, we gonna pick them up every day. Like, and it was just, I wanna make sure, because like I say, I always been a big brother. So I don't like to I can't succeed if everybody ain't eating. I want everybody to eat. So if I get in the door, I'm cracking it, right? I'm cracking it, and I'm gonna let you know, like, look, I left the door cracked, right? You got some people who hide the map, right? I don't hide the map, man. I don't hide the map. I want to see you win. I want everybody to eat, right? I want everybody to eat. So when you have that type of energy, you attract that same energy. You attract that. Whatever you put into the universe is what you get back, right? So there's a law. Oh, I got to mention, I will never talk. I will never get in front of a podium in front of a group of individuals and not mention my mentor. My mentor is Dr. Joe L. Dudley Sr., right? And I ain't even talk about how he changed my life, because like I said, I was a working dude. And, I was in real estate school at the time, and I got invited to this mansion. And if y'all are local, y'all heard of Mr. Dudley, right? Denzel, he's also a student of Mr. Dudley's, right? Al, like, we've all been in that mansion, in that basement, right? And we've learned those life lessons and those business lessons. So my business mentor, there was just so much that was poured into me there that changed the person I was. I already had it in me because I'm a hustler, right? So as a hustler, you're always chasing a bag. Dr. Dudley taught me how to attract money. He said, nah, you don't chase money. You attract it. He said, money finds me attractive. And when he taught me that, it changed my perspective. And when he told me to read this book, Think and Grow Rich, and they talked about the power of the subconscious mind and Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? These are the things that changed the game. Changed the game. So now, like, I don't even think about money, but I'm going to always have it, right? I'm going to always get it. It's going to come because I'm always giving it out. I'm always making sure I'm sending money. I always have somebody inside. I always touch somebody's books. I'm going to always touch somebody's books, right? I just found one of my friends. He'd been locked up 30 years. I thought he was home. Immediately touch his books. Another partner just got at me. Immediately touch his books. Cousin got at me. Touch his books. Because it's going to come back. It's going to come back. Don't think about it. It's going to come back, right? So that's what they call the law of reciprocity, right? It's going to come back to you. So, yeah, Mr. Dudley, man, he changed not just my life. He changed a lot of people's lives. It's a lot of millionaires walking around right now because of Mr. Dudley, right? So that was pivotal. And that job came from Mr. Dudley's son, Joe Jr. Joe called me. Yeah, but... Any, yes, sir.
Where do you currently do real estate at?
I have my office in Jamestown. My office is at 804 West Main Street, right across the street from Flowers Bakery. Yeah. And I work everywhere. I work from Clemens. I'll go past Clemens. I got a house for sale in Morrisville. I go where the money is at. I got a North Carolina real estate license. So I work North Carolina, right? I'm all over, huh? Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. That's perfect. Yeah. See, I'm about to get my Virginia license. Yes, sir.
How many properties do you have listed in the Triad area
right now? Probably 4. In the Triad, just in the Triad, probably about 4. Okay. But as a real estate agent, I can sell any property. It ain't just got to be one of mine. So what happens? At some point, hopefully Greg will allow us to have a real estate class. I want to just come in and just tell everybody what it's about. It's about, as a realtor, I show you the property. If you want to put an offer in, I'll put the offer in for you. I represent you because you can't get in the property without a realtor in North Carolina.
But I believe in what you're saying, and then I break it down. And one little, because when I did the basketball tournament for the youth, my motto has always been, each one,
teach one. Yeah, yeah.
Because if I learn to make $1 million, I'm gonna teach the next man how to make $1 million. And then once we get that, if we could ever get to that plateau, ain't nobody stealing that from like, nah, you got no reason to be shooting, you know what I mean? Because everybody got it.
Yeah, well, that's my culture. Each one teach one. You know. Yes, sir.
I want to put a plug in real quick. This has nothing to do with what's going on, but I just want to kind of run this by everybody. I was just out in California. There's a movie coming out, a documentary on PBS called The Strike. And it was the dudes that went on a hunger strike in Pelican Bay. It's going to play in PBS from February the 3rd to March the 3rd. And I want everybody to get a chance just to check it out, because it shows you how strong we could be if we work together. Right. I mean, and it's funny because I'm in this room with a lot of people that somehow or another I'm connected with and don't know how in the world it's happening.
Right.
Because to be honest with you, I grew up, if you wasn't in my crew, I didn't even talk to you.
That's right.
So I'm seeing this, I'm listening to Carlos speak, and I know how he get down. He is a man of his word. And that's what you seldom find when you're dealing with jokers today. A lot of people want to be great, but don't nobody want to put in that work. They just want it. So I appreciate you putting that work. What makes you so receptive of people coming your way? Because everything you've done has been through communication with somebody. What makes you so, especially being a former hood dude? What makes you so acceptable to communication?
I don't know. I don't have my guard up, right? Because I feel like the type of energy I put out, I'm gonna attract, right? Right? We call it magnetic, right? If you're magnetic, right, you attract like-minded individuals, right? So I'm gonna repel people who they can tell by my energy. Now, mind you, I still have Cap, right? He's in there, right? He's in there. So I'm receptive, but I'm still looking. I pay attention to everything. I don't miss nothing, right? But if you got your guard up, you might miss opportunities, right? You might miss opportunities. So I ain't trying to miss nothing.
Like how you so open communicate, being that you've been done all that time, like I done done it.
Yeah.
I barely communicate.
Yeah, man, it took a minute. And then I guess maybe my time with Toastmasters, you know, that they speaking on the stage, and it took a minute though. It took a minute, but it's, I ain't start out like this, but I had to work to this point, I was like that, like his hat says, trust no one. Yeah, I see that. I see that.
I definitely felt like when I came home, like overwhelmed.
Yeah.
There no spot around a lot of people and nothing. Like, God, everybody want to shake my hand, all like that. I don't know you like that.
Yeah.
Just like, real, like, I want the attention. I'm like, I don't even want to know my name. Like, it's not cool. Like, I mean, one time he came in town and my cousin had to drag me out. That was the only reason I went out that night.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't going to go all day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm grown, man. Like, if it ain't positive way, out there ain't nothing for me. After a certain time, for one, and then it's like, now that I've grown in my growth, in my mind, it's like, I'm trying to take it to the next level, but I gotta stay in a positive room, like you said, around positive people to get that positive outcome. So, that's what I work on daily. But it's like, it ain't easy, don't get me wrong, because you still gonna get a negative come at you.
Carlos, you got one last one.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
I'm gonna add this to the question you asked, brother. When we were in prison, me personally, I got a letter from my father. He didn't send me a lot of money, he didn't do all of that, but he sent me like a one-page letter, and it was pretty much saying how I was doing. But at the end of that letter, he said, read, read, read. Now, I had a 23-year sentence, in 19. So, from that time, I didn't understand what he was saying, or why he was sending it to me. But then I began an earnest quest for reading. And I read, and I had a thesaurus, and I had a dictionary. And I just started looking at words I didn't know, trying to see which word was synonymous to the other. And what I was doing was educating myself so that I would be able to put out what I was putting in. That gave me confidence and made me not afraid to speak to any and everybody that came in my path. So I spoke with confidence. I spoke with a surety. So people, when they see you walking, it's not about, you know, how you walk and what you look like, but it's what you're exuberating when it comes to that, like what you said, that energy that you have.
Yeah.
I don't walk like I'm looking scared and fearful. I walk with a confidence, not with arrogance, but
Yeah.
with a confidence that I'm sure of who I am. So when you start doing these things and incorporate these things in your life, then you can speak to any man, white man, black man, Chinese man, it don't matter. You are able to speak. And it worked for me when I got out. There wasn't a job that I didn't get. And I've been in some major corporations and I've been the man. But I've always, like you, had this hustling thing in me. I wanted my own thing. You know, I didn't want to work for nobody because I felt like that was prison. So I wanted to be free. But, and I want to say to Greg too, I think we need some classes where we teach young men how to speak and how to be men and how to get that confidence in them so that they'll be able to get through doors.
Okay.
So that would be a very
I think you made an excellent point. I'm the same way. Every job application I put in, every interview I had, I got the job. And it was because of my ability to communicate, which is why that's why I started that nonprofit. I want to teach individuals how to become better communicators. It's needed. You can get all the resume training and application, all that, but once you get in the office, you got to know what to say. You have to know how to present yourself, right? So that's what I want to work on. But you're definitely right with that. I was like that. I devoured information.
And also the basics. You would not believe financial services representative. How many people come in my office and can't sign their name? How you gonna get a mortgage?
And you can't, no signature. Yeah.
When I came home, when I heard they went teaching spell,
Yeah, they
Yeah.
I was blown away. Like,
I had a guy come in, do an auto loan. His granddaddy had to basically hold his hand. I turned my head because I can't. Yeah.
Right.
Sad.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say, you know, again, I thank everybody, but y'all give Carlos a hand, man. But I like to say something that Carlos spoke on, and you know, I did 18 years in the federal penitentiary too. I had a 20-year sentence also. Started out with 24 and a half. But what he was saying was about, and you guys were talking about the motivation and the drive. How can you just come out of that state of mind? I'm actually transitioning the same thing that he's walking through and everything that you pretty much said. I said to myself. I didn't have sex for the first 5 months I was home. And it's not because I was afraid and I was scared. Is that wasn't my drive, because if your man was incarcerated, I'm going to share something with you guys. A lot of y'all might not have been incarcerated, might find some things that he's saying is boring. But if you listen deeply, you know, God has brought somebody in your midst to teach you and to share with you something that you don't know about, something that you need to know about. He says something about what drives, how can you give and give and give, but a poor man can't give. And that means you can have $1 million in your pocket, but you have a poor mentality. So some of you are not being able to give because you're always trying to give to yourself. I got bills, I got this, I got that to pay, I got to do this and this, but you're not giving. And you're thinking that you're prospering, but you're becoming selfish. So in order for you to grow into a mindset of prosperity and to travel that world to where you're throwing on different hats and moving, because I'm doing the same thing. I'm not on doing the real estate, but I'm doing a lot of stuff here in my community, and I wear many hats. And I wear many hats because mine didn't start here. It don't start here. It started when I was incarcerated. When I started building, I was learning Spanish too. I did the same thing, pretty much his whole travel. And what it tells me, a man that travels in his mind, he gonna always travel in life. He gonna go places that nobody can ever dream of. How did he get from here to here, from a dope dealer to this? I get this question all the time. You know, what changed you? Man, you was making all this money. How can you just come out? It's the mindset, a law of attraction. You draw in with the law of attraction, you bring it in what you want. You got to want it and that desire to want something to change. First of all, it takes it takes a time that you got to go through training. You got to go, it's called the 3 T's. The 3 T's is taught, train, and try. The 3 T's, you're going to have to go through that process in life to be the successful person that you want to be. And this is part of the trial and the tribulations of change right now. Coming into a room and building with men. If y'all listen, we got so many different gifts right here. This is the community right here. But why are we lost? Because we have a poor mentality. We selfish. I got mine. I got a car in my driveway. I got a chicken in my pot. And I can set my temperature on 60 or 90 if it's cold or hot. I don't care about the rest of the world. As long as I'm getting my bank, I'm good. But this is where it started. And I thank Carlos for actually sharing that, because I didn't think it was another man that traveled the path that I traveled. But God had brought someone in the midst to show me that we got brothers out here that need each other to help us get to that next stage. This is the place where it starts at. There's some more gentlemen in here. And again, man, give Carlos a hand, man.
Appreciate you, bro. I appreciate the platform.
Yes, sir. Before we adjourn, man, there's some more gentlemen that walked in the building, man. I cannot, open this here and everybody share who they are. I want you guys to know who was in this room, because these are your brothers that got what you need. First of all, I'm gonna bring my brother Albert, who I work with side by side, and we do a lot of stuff together. We've been working years and years together side by side. And Albert, he does a lot too, and I want Albert to introduce yourself and share with your brother, Albert.
Wasn't expecting that. Appreciate it though.
Yeah.
But he is correct. We've been. My name is Albert Lambert. I'm not originally from High Point, but grew up in Morton, North Carolina, up in the sticks in the Burke County area, outside Lenore. Where we did frog gigging was the biggest crime we ever did. We go steal people's bullfrogs and take them home. That's what we did as kids. But I've been in High Point for probably a total of 18 years, on and off. Grew up in Atlanta, in Decatur, Georgia. My story's not like everybody else's here. My story is I had a chance to be given to me, and it was that chance that I got changed my life. It taught me, it kept me from going through life sentence or 25, 30 years. My story's a little different. I had 2 parents in the house. Dad was very successful. Mom was an at-home mother, never worked a day in her life. But I was always into sports. I was a small guy like I am now. I was a wrestler. So I always thought big, and I always went to the room, and I would look around the room and say, I look for the biggest one in here, and that's going to be either you or you. And I would go after one of them, because I knew if I got through them, none of y'all going to bother me. That's where I was, that's how I grew up. So as I was growing up as a wrestler, I went to an all-white school. I was the 3rd black in the school. I had to take an M&M bus to school. I had to take 3 buses just to get to school. I grew up with they throwing rocks at the buses, did all that stuff. But I had to take 3 buses. My dad said, I'm gonna get something better for you. So you're gonna take these buses. I had to get up 4:30 in the morning to catch my first bus just to get to school. It was crazy. Now that bus ride was the longest thing I ever did in my life, because every time we stopped at the school, we got it. So we had to learn how to defend ourselves, we had to learn how to do whatever we had to do. But my story, how I got to where I am now and why I do what I do now is that I was a wrestler. I won state every year. I lost one time because the guy kept cross on me and broke my nose, and I stood up in the middle of the match and just disqualified. The only time I ever lost state with the Georgia State. But while I was in high school, this is what changed my life. I was doing what we all do. I had a little girl at another school. I saw her on that MTM bus. She was the finest thing in the world to me. Started wrestling with her. But you know, she had 3 other dudes she messed with at school. They was all on the wrestling team. And this was 3 young white males, and it was me. So we went over there to wrestle them one time. Went over there, wrestled them. They said, hey man, you messing with a girl? I was like, man, you don't know who I am. I'm from this side. You know, that's a different story. You don't want to do that. We got into a little tussle or whatever. Thought it was over. I got ready to go home. My buddy took to drive me home, dropped me off. These three guys come up behind me. Now remember I said I always go for the big one. These three guys jumped me. I grabbed the big one and I held on to him and never let go. By the time I let go, guess where I was at? Sitting down on the cement with the police there in handcuffs because I had done killed this young man. Charged with murder. Now I was a black guy, these three white guys. They didn't ask me no questions, they didn't ask nobody no questions. I was charged with murder. I was 15. And to this day, I'm 54 years old. I still cry every year that dude got killed. That's why I do what I do for these young men right now. But my parents was fortunate enough, they gave up everything they had. They took everything, they took my whole family tree down to get money, to keep myself from going to prison. But I was scared to death. But that was a life-changing moment in my life. And most of my what I do now is I'm the executive director for the Boxer organization. I work with community and schools, we do a construction program. Greg and I, Greg don't do boxing and everything. We do construction programs.
That's the only bathroom right there. That's the girls and boys right there.
But if you can do something with your hands, do something with your mind, you gotta give. You always produce effort. Always produce. And that's what you guys do. And you guys been through this stuff, whatever, and we got all these young men. It's not necessary to go through all this. It's not necessary. I still have nightmares at 54 years old. I go home to Atlanta. I ain't been to, I'm going home for no other reason. Visit that young man's grave. Don't go to Atlanta for hate Atlanta. Hate it. But I go every year, once a year, to make sure, to remind me of what I am told to do now. You guys gotta have something. I come to the young man today, they meet me. I told him today, I said, what can you tell the young man? I said, find something for you. That's what you're gonna live for, it's gonna change you. Whatever you do, whatever, I don't care, find something now. Whatever you've been through, find something now. That you can give to somebody else, because that's when you'll find things I speak to when you get your maker. Whoever you believe in, don't care who it is, but that's what you have to share with your maker when you get in front of that person. It's sad to see these young men. It's really, really sad. And half of them, I wouldn't even say young men, and it's not even their fault. It's not even their fault. But guess what fault it is right now? We the men right now who know the knowledge, who've been through it, know and say, hey, grab one. You want to teach one, grab one? Grab one of these young men in these programs. Grab one of them. Every time I get a new key, you know what I do the first time I do? I put my arms around the Huddle. He don't know who's Adam Eve. He's just so shocked. Because he ain't been loved by nobody in the grave. But anyway, that's my story. That's why I'm here. I love this, man. I really love this. I want to meet everybody who I don't know, who don't know me. I want to meet everybody because I know I can get something from everybody in here. That's right. But you got to be willing to give. That's right. You got to be willing to give to these young men. You got to be willing to give these young men because if you don't give it to them, they can't receive it. Y'all right change that one young man. It's enough men in here right now to make some difference, to make some change. It's enough. We meet every Monday. I got 15 kids. Babies every Tuesday, got 20 kids. Come in and speak to me. Just grab one. You're going to find one of you in them. I promise you. I promise you're going to find one of you in one of them. There's no way out of 20 kids, you can't find you in one of them. Who's down that same road, who's making the same mistakes, who did the same thing, or who's going to do the same thing. That's the way you change. Walk up to a stranger and hug that young man. Believe me, I'm telling you, I had the first time I met a kid with Greg, me and Greg was hugging this kid. He just bust out and crying tears. We didn't say nothing. Didn't have to say nothing. But he felt the presence of someone trying to give him something. Right. So I encourage you guys to keep doing this, make yourself present, but don't keep walking by our youth like it just makes it that's why it's a problem. Don't wait till it's your problem when they're jacking you. That's when you want to get concerned about it when they act your neck.
That's true. That's true.
But that's what we doing. I mean, that's what we doing. They over there, I'm over here. We good.